Let's get
Hello,
started.
everyone, and welcome to the 2022 Lean in Higher Education Conference. Thank you for attending today's session, which is called Fill Up That Love Tank, the Art of Self-Care for Facilitators. It's going to be run as a 60-minute workshop. My name's Tom Coogan, and I'm one of the co-host moderators of this session, alongside my colleague, Serena. Just quickly, some quick housekeeping issues. Please stay on mute during the presentation, and you're more than welcome to turn your camera on so that we can see you. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand. And please just note that this presentation is being recorded. So it's my great pleasure now and an honour today to hand over to Grace Bryant from Canberra University, and also Kate Aylmore from Charles Sturt University. Looking forward to a wonderful session. I'll hand it over to you both.
Oh, thanks, Tom.
Thanks,
what a beautiful. We're honoured to be here, and we'd like to commence in the way that we always commence, with an acknowledgement of country. So on behalf of Kate and I, we'd like to acknowledge both the Ngunnawal and Wiradjuri people, who are the traditional custodians on the land on which we're situated. We acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and their contributions to Australian society and culture now and into the future. As we're online and wherever you are, we invite you to take a moment to acknowledge the First Nations people on the country that you're on. You're welcome to post your location or the country that you're on in chat. If that's not relevant to you, maybe just tell us where you are. Kate.
Over to me. So, I'm Kate. I think we caught that already. And I'm from Charles Sturt, caught that too. Charles Sturt is actually located regionally in Australia. I'm also on the Lean in Higher Education Asia Pacific Steering Committee. I'm an improvement junkie, like I'm sure you are all too, and actually being at some of the sessions, I know you are, and that's why we're here, right? I've been working in higher education for 11 years. I started my higher education career in a student officer role, and I've always had a passion for leaving things better than I found them. I had a near-death experience in my late teens, and one of the consequences was an obsession with time, more specifically, not wasting it. So my journey has been one to find efficiencies and to improve the heck out of whatever I can. And thank goodness this has translated professionally. I found that I was a fixer and I loved it. I'm also that really annoying person that goes out of my way to give feedback at any opportunity, all in aid of improvement. Is there a broken link? No problems. Glitch in your program or process, easy fixed. But honestly, it's a little bit exhausting. And here is where we find ourselves.
Hello, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Grace Bryant. I work at the University of Canberra, even though I'm wearing a Michigan State University University of Michigan shirt. Yesterday I wore a UC shirt, so I felt it only fair to create more brand awareness for our friends in the States, because the universities clearly don't have enough students. I've worked at the University of Canberra for 20 years, like Kate, similar background, working in student services. I really enjoyed helping people and finding ways of making other people's lives easier or better. I guess in terms of the University of Canberra, like Kate, we're also a really small, quite regional University of Canberra. And Kate and I fell in love at the 2017 Lean in Higher Education Conference at Macquarie University in Sydney. And this is one of the examples of a really great lean relationship. We mightn't be the first lean wedding, but we have deep love for each other. Kate, oh no, this is over to me now, isn't it?
Oh yeah, let me take one step back. Hang on.
I think you've got the cartoon.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah. You're next after that. We're polished, look out.
Yes.
So I don't know if anyone knows Simon's cat, but this meme / cartoon pretty much sums up everything we will talk about today. But in essence, we will share the things we wish we knew when we started. So we'll share some tools from our toolkit that we've gathered over time. I also found this out just recently, but October is Mental Health Month in Australia. So this year's theme is building resilience and communities and connections. So we're here to promote and celebrate that as well. We also want to hear what you do. So in my opinion, you can't beat a community of practice, and this is what we'll try and create today. We also, we did a bit of research about this, so I can't say that it's 100% what we know and breathe. I mean, we know we do these things, but to actually structure them in a cohesive format. So do bear with us, and we'd love any feedback you'd have.
Yeah, so Kate and I, the origins of this presentation were Kate and I sort of chatted about things that we would have loved to have learned when we started in these types of roles, and the things that we've sort of collected over time without realizing it, and actually doing our own practice on ourselves. So sitting down and reflecting on the things that happen naturally or that we've learned and collected, and just putting them in the same place and then sharing them and asking you what your thoughts and feelings are as well. So today we'll be, as Kate said, creating a bit of a kind of collective knowledge. We're going to be using Padlet, and I feel like everyone should be fairly familiar with Padlet. If you're not, just post in chat or just put your mic on, like no pressure. And posting the Padlet here will give you prompts as to when and how to use the Padlet. So just for now, curb your very clear enthusiasm to get really hungry and start typing. We're going to go through the process. So we'll start with a bit of a chat, and then we're going to bust into some activities. So we thought we would begin this session in the beginning. We thought we would begin this session with a really important element of self-care just in life, and something that you can use in your day-to-day life. And it's as simple as controlling or listening to and reflecting on your internal narrative. I think in terms of keeping your love tank full and self-care, hearing your own thoughts is one really easy way to understand where your love tank is. So we'd like to begin with a little meditation. So this mightn't be possible for everyone, but in your own way, we invite you to find some stillness. And that might mean changing your posture or moving to a quieter room, whatever it is for you, just finding a moment of stillness. Normally in meditations, there'll be some effort on how to breathe, but we all know how to breathe. So you do your own breathing. We're going to be here for about 90 seconds, so make sure you're comfortable. And I want you to take a moment to reflect on a time when you felt really capable and you felt completely in control and ready for anything, or on a time when you felt really successful and whatever that success means to you, really on top of things. So when you found that moment in time, I want you to think about how you felt in your body. How did it feel in your chest? Did it work its way down to your arms? Could you find success in your feet? What was your posture like? Did you hold yourself differently? And when we've kind of found that place of capability, what were the words that were in your mind or in your heart? How are you speaking to yourself? Is there a sentence or a little story that you can pinpoint that will tell you a little bit about how you fill up your love tank? What are your words of success? And we're just going to sit with those words for a couple of seconds here, and then we're going to talk about them a little bit. If you can't find your words, you might want to think about a time when you won something. Or you can come back to this exercise later and really pinpoint your own internal capability story. Now, you might want to take a moment to write these words down, or if you're feeling brave, put them in the chat, because this is part of a little resource that we want people to come and draw on. Now, I'm going to be really brave and share my internal dialogue and the words that I give myself when I feel that my love tank is running low. So, and I do this sometimes before facilitating a session. In fact, Kate and I did it earlier. My words of success, or the way that I fill up my love tank, is by saying to myself, "You're Grace Bryant. You get out there and you succeed." Or to quote my mum before every school swimming carnival, before I got out of the car, and mum does not swear, she would say, "Go like a bat out of hell." Or if I'm really down, I just look myself in the eye and I say, "I'm really proud of you." Linda, don't fall asleep. So the reason we've done this exercise is so when you're feeling a little bit low or your love tank's running out, you can do what Grace Bryant would do and take herself off to the bathroom and look herself in the eye and say, "You get out there and you succeed. You go like a bat out of hell." And that is a way of filling up my love tank. And thank you for being so kind and patient and allowing me to share that little moment of vulnerability. I hope it's helpful for you.
All right.
Okey-dokey. Now let's go back into the real world.
Yes, welcome back, everyone. I hope you're feeling refreshed and focused. So we wanted to start here by a few definitions. So what is self-care? Self-care is the art of prioritizing your own needs to ensure that you're able to sustainably function for yourself and others in the world. It's as simple and as hard as that. Self-care comes in many forms, things you can do for yourself, both personally and professionally. And look, self-care is not always going to be that spa day or even the bubble bath. It's actually a tool to build resilience or to ensure that you're able to be the best when you need to be. We're defining self-care today as a two-armed approach. So preventative strategies you can partake in and approaches and tips and hacks that can help in your facilitation.
Any French speakers here? If yes, please put your mic on and give me some tips. Alicia, you've got your mic on. Can you tell me what facilitate means?
Facilitate.
Or facile?
Easy.
Easy. Yes. Yeah, the French speakers. Thank you for not letting me butcher that language. So facile, it means easy. And for us as facilitators, for me, I see our job as easing the way or making complexity easy. And sometimes it's, you know, easing the way is as simple as connecting the right people or experiences or tools. And for us, it's helping groups find and meet their goals, whatever they are. So helping individuals or groups understand what their problems are and solve them. So how can we make that easy? Can anyone think of any other jobs that have a similar kind of description? Just chuck your mic on or post it in chat, whatever works for you.
I'll be honest, in our research, hostage negotiations came up a lot. So I don't know if you feel like that at your institution. You've brought them all in and they don't want to be here. They want to get out. But yeah.
So sometimes being a facilitator is really energizing, but when you're in those hostage negotiation situations, it can be really draining. And for some of us who are, you know, perhaps more introverted, it can actually be really taxing. Or for, you know, for a lot of us, being under the spotlight isn't always comfortable, and often it can be really exposing. Even for natural facilitators and extroverts, or the most confident facilitators, we all have those moments where things don't go to plan, and it can be really hard for you to ease the way. And you might find at those moments, like you feel your own energy levels and your own love tank really dropping away.
Absolutely. So as a member of a helping profession, we tend to focus on the needs of others to the detriment of our own well-being. There is a reason why the flight attendants always advise to put your mask on first. How can we ensure that we have the capacity to ease the way if our own love tanks are empty? There's your standard exercise, sleep, nutrition, being enough, but truly self-care is self-kindness, reframing your thoughts and making sure you're doing things to ease the way for yourself as well. So we thought we would talk a little bit about what is the difference between stress management and self-care. So Psychology Today asserts that ongoing stress makes us more susceptible to emotional imbalance, illness, and disease. Numerous medical conditions are caused or exacerbated by stress, including hypertension, heart disease, and cancer. Stress can play a major role in beginning involvement with alcohol and other drugs, and in continuing that involvement. And for people in recovery, stress is frequently involved in the process of relapse. Stress is frequently talked about, but what exactly is it? Stress is an imbalance between your current coping abilities and the expectations or demands that are placed on you, including demands that you place on yourself, both real and perceived. So, stress management versus self-care. Stress management is a way with dealing and coping with the negative effects of stress we confront in our lives. We often think of stress management techniques to relieve stress, such as deep breathing, meditation, or exercise, whereas self-care is the ability to proactively enhance our health by building resilience and preventing illness and disease. It has a preventative focus. It is a process whereby a person looks at ways they can become responsible for promoting our own overall well-being. Now, as per the slide, wine is definitely a stress management tool, but not always one of self-care. So we assert that self-care can prevent stress. So, as a facilitator, some preventative self-care ideas that you can use prior to your session prep or really any time that you're feeling this way. So engage in some mindfulness, do nothing. I'm actually just got into this recently, and it seems odd at my age, but just immerse yourself in the moment in terms of the sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Like, what are you observing? Get out and notice beauty. And get outside too. That's a good one as well. Write down what's in your head. I don't know how everyone is, but sometimes we just get so consumed with our thoughts. Just write them down. Put your phone down. That's a good one. Hard to do, but a good one. Practice gratitude. And Grace does talk about this a little bit later in our session. Engage in humour and social connection. Make meaning out of challenging events, and create personal values and goals for yourself. All right, Grace, I think
lovely. That's a good way of giving you time just to take a quick photo if you like. Now, we've done like a bit of talking, so we're going to move into a bit of an activity in a moment. But in terms of self-care for facilitators, we really feel as a facilitator, the art of self-care starts with how you prepare for workshops or facilitation exercises. So in preparing yourselves and your materials, going and making sure that you've got a charger, all of those little things that we do before a session, that's a type of self-care. And to quote my old swimming coach, by failing to plan, you're planning to fail. So taking that little bit of time to do the self-care of good preparation is the start of, you know, an ongoing relationship with self-care. We're going to bust into the Padlet, and like true facilitators, we're going to make you do a little bit of work. Can I just get some nods that everyone can access that Padlet? Great, thank you. We've got a column, the first column, or the second column rather. We'd love for you to share your tips for how you prepare or get ready for a workshop or get ready to facilitate, whatever you're facilitating. We're going to take a little time here, so pop your best tips in. And we're also going to ask you to use the love heart voting button to vote for your best tips. Ooh. And if you want to pop your name into the your post as well, so we can attribute it rather than thinking that some anonymous ant is just so clever and good at everything. Schedule a 30-minute slot with the room and for me to set up. That's genius. I practice with an audience of my dogs. God, they're the best listeners.
Especially when there's snacks.
Do they give you good feedback?
Sometimes, depends. It was me. Yeah. One of them is very, very deaf, so I sort of have to shout at him. He's learned a lot over the years.
So you can't lose with a deaf dog. Okay, we've got a few more coming in. Kevin, I agree. Walking through your notes beforehand. And Kevin, like, you're the coolest character. It's hard for me to believe that you ever get nervous, but for the first time.
Yeah.
Kevin's pointing to his hair. Or where it used to be. Listen to music, I agree. I've recently taken to doing a 5-minute standard meditation about managing stressful situations when I know I'm walking into a difficult room. Oh, Linda, think about what I'm wearing. Yes, taking that posture, even in your costuming, posture of preparedness. Being as organised. Hanko, we love a contingency plan. Hanko is the queen of contingency plans. She'll often have a spare computer, not just a spare charger. And
that's impressive.
If you ever go traveling with her, she's got like all these little bags in case that have these little kits. Like this is my medical kit. This is my you got stung by a bee kit.
Good person to have in your court, Grace.
100%. I really enjoy traveling with her. Look at the stars or trees. Try to learn the names before we meet. Gee, that's a very good practical tip. Who posted that? Some genius. Michelle.
Oh, good job, Michelle. And I don't know how we're going to cope with face-to-face again without having everyone's name captioned underneath it. It's a bit of a worry, isn't it?
Yeah. Make a comfortable plan, timetable, and be on the spot on time. Actually, that's just really a good one. I'm always late, and I realize that how anxious being late makes me, and maybe that's just like a type of drama that I'm addicted to. Be super silly, dance and get the worries out. I love that. Okay, so we're building a really good knowledge base here, and this is available for you to come back to at any time or contribute to at any time. I guess we're going to look now at what we thought we would respond with when we're thinking about how we prepare. Here's a bit of a gap analysis. Let's see how many we matched with. We'll play a bit of bingo.
All right.
So we've really, Kate, is the
ready
whole
to go
flying, or is it one by one?
One by one.
Oh, good on you.
Woohoo!
Okay. So this is a great tip that Melissa introduced me to. A standardized screenplay. We're giving you one as a takeaway. So this thing that Melissa and I are always holding, we're going to send you our version, and it's minute by minute, breaks down the resources and everything that you need. And if you want any final version or any actual real life versions, Krista, I think you just need to type your name into the post. Sorry, I missed that question. So we'll give you a copy of these. If you want any real life examples as well, we're happy to send them. This one is another really practical preparation tip. Run your workshops in the morning. Nobody is good at workshops in the afternoon, especially when you're a facilitator and you're sitting around all day thinking, I've got this hanging over my head. We've got an example of the next point. Bring a wingman or wingwoman or wing person. It's just such a simple tip. If you don't have the resources to bring someone with you to help you manage the chat, help you manage the uploading and the tech and all the people in the room, try and build it into your screenplay. For me, this one is a massive one. If possible, have your comms plan and your communications plan and deliverable plan ready before you've run the workshop. So you can just pull the trigger on it straight away, and it's not just the initial stress of the workshop, it's also knowing that you're prepared for what follows after.
And we have an example to share with you later as well.
Yeah, happy to give you a copy of that as well. So we're giving you, hopefully giving you not just the Padlet, but some other tools that you can take into your lives if you don't already have them. This one I think often catches us out, and we've sort of talked about it in the Padlet a little bit in learning the context of what you're walking into. So often think, you know, you might have really complex relationships or case histories that are quite political. Really helpful to have to know what you're walking into in advance. So sitting down with whoever's running the session and saying, what do I need to know? What are the politics? Make sure if it's a tricky session that the sponsor is available for all or part of the workshop, so they can help you quash any problems or work through any problems. I think understanding the roles, Kevin sort of talked through this, like walking through the screenplay, walking through who does what. Melissa and I often, this is one of our biggest sources of stress if we bring someone else in to help us with a workshop, understanding that they know what they need to do and when. Check the space, check your tech. We've all been caught out on this one. Learning new systems, if you can do that in advance, that's really helpful.
Bring your spare computer, Melissa. Yep.
This one will sound silly, but think about the type of session that you're running. A great equalizer for Melissa and I, and something that's made our lives easier as facilitators so we can use less of our energy, is running all sessions in a hybrid way by asking face-to-face attendees to bring their laptop and log into the online meeting. So if we're using shared documents or using the chat, all responses are captured and we don't need to manage online and face-to-face. Also creates... Ooh,
yes, sorry, Grace.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, you also have your name tags, right? If they're all there in your video, you have your name tags as well. It's a bit of a hack.
Yes, that's a good one. I hadn't thought about that. Boundaries. Think about what your personal boundaries are, what your professional boundaries are. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in the rest of the workshop. And use the pep talk and the motivation tool, the meditation tool to motivate you and to make sure that you're coming into the room with like a good energy. You're bringing your best energy. You're bringing that posture of success, and that you feel capable in your body, even if you don't necessarily feel it in your heart.
Right. In session tips.
Yeah. We were going to do this the other way, Kate, but I think I'm going to mess with the screenplay here. Okay. I'm going to like do something that I probably shouldn't. And we're going to go back to the Padlet. And I want you to think about when you're in session, what are your best tips when you're in the room for achieving self-care while you're facilitating? And we're going to spend a little bit of time in the Padlet. I'll just check if is everyone happy? Everyone doing okay? Get some nods. Excellent. It's good to see everyone, by the way. Thank you so much for joining us. All these names and places. Can't wait to see you in person. Okay, so let's pop over to the Padlet. Pause and create silent space. Tabitha. Bang. Sometimes hard to do because you feel like you need to fill the space, or that part of easing the way is making sure people don't feel uncomfortable in silence. But
and I think people struggle with it too. Grace, I know Grace and I both do.
It's me. How do I zip it?
You don't need to feel every second of every minute. Yeah.
Don't get stressed if you don't know the answer to a question. That's a really great one.
Watch your politicians. They do it well. Well, they don't really do it well, but they should be saying.
They do it.
Yeah, they do it. They should be saying, I don't know the answer to that, but I will find out and I'll get back to you.
Opportunities to move around the room. Beautiful. Linda, do you like my very cool water bottle? Let me
Or
just
Frank Green's always a good one too.
shift my camera so I can see them. It fits in my bag. It's a very small backpack that Steve Yorkston sent me. So I've got an Edinburgh Napier backpack and a University of Canberra water bottle and a University of Michigan shirt. And I think I represent Lean in Higher Education physically. Okay, the silence one is coming up a lot. That is, yes, Grace, be quiet.
Don't do what we do.
Yeah. Stick to the break times. I think even making sure that you've got break times. Always have a box of tissues. Yeah. Don't feel that you need to know everything. Yeah, we're just here to make it easy. It's okay to say, I don't know, or can I come back to you? Ooh, look to the participants to answer the questions.
Snap.
Isn't that a great example of what we're doing? When to have breaks, give the group a break. Yep. Split the sessions. A Dutch roundabout system. Let's look at this one a little bit. I tend to use a Dutch roundabout system. So if there are any laptop faces people online, they always have right of way when speaking. It makes it easier to manage. Can we ask a little bit more about that one to whoever posted it? Michelle, you are our just.
That was me again. Yeah, so in Cambridge in particular, we had a slightly controversial Dutch roundabout installed, which basically is a roundabout that always gives priority to pedestrians and then cyclists and sort of scales them up that way. So you always have someone propping a laptop up in a meeting or in a focus group, and it tends to be easier just to be completely honest at the start and say the rules are that online always has right of way, and everyone seems to. So there's fewer things to wrangle.
I've never heard of that term before, and I'm so grateful that you shared it, because you do often feel excluded when you're online and everyone's face to face. And as a facilitator, I think it's really hard to create that space. Like, it requires a lot of effort to create that space, but maybe doing it up front is the go. Okay, so while we're watching those come in, we might do another gap analysis. And Kate, we might just click through these a little quicker.
Yeah, sure.
I think this one's, a real deal breaker or a deal maker. Build credibility and trust. As soon as you walk into that room, what do we need to say to create trust? For me, I have a standardized phrase because I often don't dress for the job that I have. And maybe, I don't know if this is being slightly arrogant, but I look and sound perhaps a little bit younger than my nearly 40 years. So for me, it's important to create that sense of trust when you're dealing with academics who've worked in higher education for 50 years, not just 20. So I have a set spiel that I use. I didn't go into the full depth today because hopefully you all trust me a little bit already. This is a good one right from the start, and this is something that I think we all do quite naturally. As soon as people enter the room, have some content ready for them so you can connect with people. Tell us something about yourself so we can connect with you and hopefully make allies. And this feeds into the next point, noticing behaviours. So did someone post in the chat? That's a positive trait. That's like if we're in real estate, that would be a hot participant. Or did somebody respond to a post? That they might be warm. How can we pull them out and draw them into the session? Did they turn off their mic? Did they turn on their mic? If yes, let's give that an acknowledgement. Say, Alicia, you speak French. Let's have a chat. Let's make you part of this workshop. I think Michelle's just talked about this a little bit, setting the expectations and conditions right at the start. And this is a good one for tricky groups. Kate, I think this one's yours.
Yeah, so again, if you've got a tough crowd, conduct what's called an accusation audit. So call out the negative inventory, and this is a preemptive tactic to speculate what your participants might be thinking and address the elephants in the room before they're raised, or worse, if they're not raised and they actually inhibit the participants' participation. I think, Grace, we likened it to, I know you're angry with me, but
And
yeah, but we're going to do this. Yeah, so it's definitely a good one. That was one I found in the hostage negotiation piece. So if it's a tough crowd, yeah.
In Seinfeld, they call it the airing of the grievances, and it's done at every Christmas before feats of strength.
I love it.
I think we might whiz through the next few, Kate, because we're hitting time a little bit. We've already had a few of these come in. I think the last one, I mean, this has come up a couple of times in the chat, in the Padlet. Push the activities out to the group. So when I was very young, I was thinking about becoming a teacher and did some training, and the advice was, if you're leaving a session tired, you haven't made your students do enough work. So put the work on the students, or put the work on the participants, exactly like we're doing in the Padlet. This is all intuitive for you. Kate, do you want to talk through the controlling your reactions?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that I like to remind anyone of really is the only thing you can actually control is how you react in a situation. That's purely it. Everything else could potentially change from there. So this is a framework that I came across when I was looking to ways to deal with my 2-year-old, actually. So when you have something that triggers you, stop and step back. Don't act immediately, pause. Take a breath. We all know how important breath is. So take it in, notice it, breathe it out, notice that. Observe. So what am I thinking and feeling? What are the words that my mind is saying? Is it fact or is it opinion? Is it description or evaluations? Is it accurate or inaccurate? Helpful or unhelpful? And what unhelpful thinking habit am I using? Am I mind reading? Am I using a negative filter? Am I thinking the worst? Where is my focus of attention? Pull back, put it into some perspective. See the situation as an outside observer. What would a fly on the wall see? Is there another way of looking at it? What would someone else make of it? What advice would I give to someone else? What is the helicopter view? What meaning am I giving to this event? How important is it right now? And how important will it be in 6 months? Is my reaction proportional to the actual event? This is my main one. Is my reaction proportional to the current event? That's a big one with 2-year-olds. I'm sure everyone knows that. And again, practice what works. Do what works, do what's most helpful, play to your principles and values. What will be effective and appropriate? Again, is it in proportion to the actual event? Does this keep with my values and principles? And what will be the consequences of my action? And what is best for me and most helpful in this situation? So yes, the stop with the extra P, it's a good one. Stop. All right, Grace.
I think Krista has just posted something really fantastic in the Padlet. This is classic Krista. She's the queen of lean. Right at the bottom, if someone is being disruptive during a workshop, one tactic I try to calm them down is to move over to where they are and stand next to them. Having the facilitator so near gets their attention and often quiets them, which calms me and helps me get the class back on track. Krista, gee, that's a hard-earned lesson, isn't it? Do you want to pop on your mic?
Oh,
yeah, it's on. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know how I stumbled on that. I'm sure it was a hard learned lesson because it had to have happened more than once. But you know how in the back of a class, the kids are, getting unruly and crazy. It's always happening far away from wherever the person who's leading things is trying to get stuff done. And so I just decided, well, I'm just going to go stand with them. And then it sounds bad, but they're kind of unsettled. Like, why is she over here? What's happening? Something's going on. And they stop being disruptive. And now they're trying to understand what I'm doing. And I'm like, that's what I wanted you to be doing all along. So
it's
it
like
kind of
creating a physical ally.
Yes. And sometimes I stand like right next to the person.
Like a school teacher.
Yeah, and often and when we were in person, often they were sitting. And so to have someone stand like a foot away from you, and I'm not even looking at them, I'm like looking out and just carrying on with the lecture, but changes everything.
A really wonderful tip. And this is exactly what we wanted to get out of people. These things that happen really intuitively, but they take a long time to learn, or it might take you a while to realize, oh, this is a thing that I do and it helps in this way. Also, go blue.
Thanks, Grace.
So in reflecting on some in-session tips, I realized there were some phrases that I have found very helpful, and this is just very practical. We're not going to look at all of them, so screenshot away, or you can have this, PowerPoint. The one question I come back to time and time again, when my love tank is getting empty, when my energy levels are getting low, is how are we going to resolve this? Or, okay, what are some solutions? And I might say it 2 or 3 times. And it's not even in workshops, when you're sitting next to someone and you're just having an informal meeting and they're giving you a lot of resistance. Okay, how are we going to resolve this? And if you can even put a smile on and say, yeah, how are we going to resolve this? And getting back into that posture of energy and positivity, and I'm a powerful being that succeeds. I see solutions. So using these little questions, what are some other ways we might think about this problem? If that's really good when people are getting stuck on problems.
And a bit similar to Krista's example of standing close by, call out the names. Don't be afraid to put people on the spot. Hopefully you have that relationship with the cohort you're in, but it's also a really effective tool.
Yeah. The other one I think is when you've got a real, like we say in Australia, squeaky wheel. I don't know if everyone's got a similar cultural version of that. The crying baby gets the milk, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Do you put oil on squeaky wheels? Grease.
You just throw out the wheel, Grace.
Yeah,
you
just turn it into a fire hazard. Saying to that person, thank you so much. I'd like to hear from someone else now, because you can lose a lot of energy to quietening those dominant and often not helpful voices. So I think those 2 are probably the most useful. Kate often uses you seem, you look, like that indirect language or an indirect challenge. Or I feel like you're very angry at me, or I feel like you're becoming quite negative, or I feel like we're moving away from the point of this workshop. So those really indirect challenges. So
no one can argue with your feelings, right? So when you started up with the I, that's how you feel. So, I mean, I'm sure there are some people that would, but
it's called gaslighting.
Yep.
Don't put a gaslighter near an oily wheel.
It may blow up. Yeah.
Dan's come in with a good tip. Dan, do you want to talk us through this one?
Thanks. I am loving this session, by the way. It's awesome. Yeah, I think I'm quite introverted, and I have realised I really struggle to get my words out in a big workshop, and I've also noticed that with other people. So yeah, I think just being a bit deceptive around how you break people up into groups to partner them really well. It just really shrinks those big dominant voices, and people aren't being affected by them because they're only, there's only 3 sets of ears hearing them or something.
They've been diluted. Yeah.
And then when you come back together, it's like everyone's post-it note is equal.
Yep,
type thing.
100%. Linda's come in with pre-setting the groups if you know the attendees. Yeah, and it might be a really good idea in your preparation to sit down with the sponsor or the manager or someone who understands the context and say, who do we need to be worried about, and what is our plan for making sure that this workshop progress in spite of this person? Laurel, do you want to talk us through the one that you've just posted? You don't have to.
Hi, yes, sorry,
No.
I was getting to my buttons. Yeah, just an alternative to, I feel like, so what in my previous role, I used to run training for student callers, calling up and fundraising, and they would often get people coming back on the phone and saying things. So something that often worked well there was, I can hear that this isn't working for you, or whatever it might be. And also just another alternative to, you know, listening to other people. Let's hear from someone who hasn't had the chance to share yet.
Nice.
Laurel, it works a treat for toddlers too. I hear that, doesn't matter, we're going this way.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, we need to get a little wriggle on because we're pushing our limits on time. So we're going to pop back to the Padlet and we're going to think about ways of keeping your love tank and your energy levels and your motivation high after a session. And then we're going to whip through and do a little gap analysis. So we'll pop back to the Padlet and we'll look at that column. Oh, Tabitha, beautiful. Debrief with a trusted colleague. Carbs.
Sugar fits that bill too, I think. Or alcohol, but yes, remember, prevention versus self-care.
Look, it would be hypocritical of me to say anything here. Coffee, celebrate what you've achieved, even if it wasn't perfect. Yeah, the Hanko. Debrief, do nothing. Very good. Melissa and I call this going and staring at a wall. So often after a really hard session, we'll say, okay, I'll see you tomorrow, go and stare at a wall. Or do you need some time to stare at a wall? Pause, then reflect. Feedback should always be constructive. It's not personal. The great part about our jobs, unlike hostage negotiators, is hopefully nobody dies.
Hopefully, yeah.
Oh, reflect on feedback. I just saw this word, nuggets. Reflect on feedback. We collect nuggets. Nice to have niggles and no-nos. Who posted that? It's delightful.
That was me, Linda.
Linda.
I have to admit, hands up there, I stole it from Michael Gash from Nottingham, University of Nottingham, but we use it on more or less everything we do, all our training courses, and it works a treat. And more often than not, we very rarely get any no-nos.
Oh,
so it's really nice to read the nuggets at the end of a session.
Everybody loves a nugget.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Dark rye first. Is that a beer? What is
high alcohol content potentially?
Basil Hayden's dark rye. Can anybody tell me what that is? Pat yourself on the back. Read the surveys. Yeah. Cool. Alrighty. So what we might do is Kate, we'll just do a quick flick through our slides and maybe just click all of them.
Alrighty.
Go click crazy. Oh, I like this one. Rewatch myself to look for improvement opportunities and pick out something I did well. That's so nice. Someone else, mostly I have a lot of energy after a session. When not, I take some time alone while cleaning my workshop room and collecting my stuff. I'm clearing my mind. That's good practical advice.
And I love the one about rewatching yourself, because or rewatching the session, for instance, because there's so much we can do now thanks to the perfect disruption of COVID, in terms of these recordings that you have, they're actually really valuable assets. The transcripts, people's expressions when you've moved through things. Yeah, you can definitely learn a lot about your facilitation from rewatching those videos. And your presentation skills as well. Grace, we'll rewatch this one for sure.
Oh God, no. My Australian accent is so thick, and I have a list. And I say the worst things, but you know, people like them.
It's endearing. It's endearing. But so some of the things we thought about in terms of the gap analysis, sorry, I'll get that one out. Do documentation and follow up as immediately as possible. If you can't access a recording, for instance, just get it out of the way, get it done while it's fresh in your mind. Use a reflective practice framework in terms of associate your information into the facts, feelings, findings, and future. Or as Grace likes to use, the rosebud thorn approach.
What worked? What were the opportunities? What was painful?
Yeah. And we've already talked about this. Book your alone time and don't get distracted. If you put it in your calendar, actually do it. Don't ignore it like I often do. Validate your outcomes quickly. So Grace is going to share the screenplay template with us later, but go back and edit those to what actually happened. Have your comms plan ready to go. Again, we'll share that template. And this came through in the Padlet. Celebrate your wins. Find your nuggets. Or find 3 things that went really well. And accept when things didn't go as planned too.
Anyone who was in last year's conference at the first session, we had that guy talking about keeping a gratitude journal and how it sometimes became meaningless because you'd work through the same gratitude items like, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my health, I'm grateful for my safety, I'm grateful to have food on the table. So there's quite high level, easily repeatable things, but he challenged us to start thinking about 3 things that went well today instead of what are you grateful for. And during COVID, this actually really helped me keep my love tank full. Living alone during a pandemic, it can be really mentally challenging. And my love tank was like this some days, like getting real low. And I found that I was trying to be grateful, but it wasn't working. And after that session, I took that away and I kept a gratitude journal of 3 things that went well every day. And on the bad days, I would come back to it. And those little wins, like not that I had food on my table, that I got out of bed on time, that the sun was shining and I could walk the dog over lunch, that I responded to 10 emails. Those little things cumulatively made me feel a lot better and really did fill up that love tank when it was running low. And I felt even resentful that I should be more grateful for all the things that I had in my life. So I think as a facilitator, yes, the reflective practice, but think of it not in terms of the big things, in terms of the little things. Like 28 people attended this session.
It's 40 now.
Is it?
Yeah, we might have some bots. I don't know.
Oh, cool. Okay, we've got 5 minutes left. So we might just take a moment to post in the Padlet again. So one thing that you'll start doing as a result, maybe of this session or maybe as a result of someone else's brilliant idea, run workshops in the morning. So posting in that last column there, and we'll leave the last column for you to use however you like. It says takeaway and tools, but the University of Melbourne team are going to share a couple of documents with you. If anyone wants this presentation, just let us know, or we might even post our tips into the Padlet so it's all in the one place and it feels a little bit leaner.
And Grace, I would like to confirm that's 40 in the chat, not 40 participants. I think I got a little overexcited then. So yeah.
Okay. I'm happy with 28. I think that's really great.
It's a nice number. Yeah.
Yeah. Gavin Oates. Yes, that was his name.
Yes.
Yeah. So Thomas has started posting some resources in the chat. We've got a few. Being more intentional about facilitator wellbeing. Gee, that is the greatest outcome out of this workshop we could have asked for.
And I think it also extends to, because I actually haven't been in facilitation for a little while now, but it also applies so much just to general management of daily activities, really. So something you can apply to any asset of your life or aspect of your life.
Krista, Pete, you're getting a lot of love for the simple stand next to. So using your body to become somebody's ally. That's brilliant. And this is great. So we can't know everything about self-care. We also want to learn about self-care. So we're going to take all of these comments and just put them into our own practice. Cool. So does anybody have any questions while we're doing that little last reflection? Oh, Kevin facilitated for 4 days last week. I wish I had attended this session before. Mate, feel free to pick up this PowerPoint presentation and present it at your university. Actually, that's the same for everyone. Feel free to just represent it, because
the accents will definitely be a novelty for those who aren't Australian.
Or take the tips and put them in your own language, you know. This is stuff that we wish we'd known, and I'm sure other people feel the same. Okie dokie. So probably if there's no questions, on behalf of Kate and myself, we're so grateful that you gave us an hour of your time. We've loved every minute. We've learned a lot, both in preparing this session, delivering it, and what we'll do next, which is go and read through everyone's tips and maybe even turn it into a resource for Lean in Higher Education that can grow and change with us. Kate, would you like to talk about this slide?
This slide, so Grace mentioned it at the start of our session. Not the marriage that we were expecting, but Grace and I connected back in 2017 and have had the opportunity to travel to a few conferences as well. So I think these were from Tromsø and a study tour in London. But yeah, just watch out for that bear behind your back. No, but this network is probably one of the most amazing things I've come across in my life, actually, in terms of the way that people share and care for people. And just that is our main drive, is just to make sure we're being better as people wherever we are around the world. So I'm so thankful to be part of this network. And I hope if there's anyone new, especially if there's anyone in Asia Pacific who wants to join the local chapter of Lean in Higher Education, please do have a Google, because we're there. And it's been my absolute pleasure.
Kevin, do you want to turn your mic on and give a quick spruik to what's happening next year? It might be nice to hear a different accent.
I don't have an accent. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, we're going to give some notes in the closing ceremony about everything coming up for next year, but we are hosting at UC San Diego, which has been talked about quite a bit, and we sure appreciate it and can't wait to see you all there.
Kevin's offered to give personalized tours of the town in his own car. And if he has more than 4 people register, he's going to just hire a limo.
A bus.
Kevin, you're turning people off. It's a limo.
It's a double-decker bus. It's a party bus.
Oh,
love it.
We're in. Okay, we might hand back over to Tom now.
Perfect. Cool. Thanks
Tom,
very much.
Go. Your mic's a bit low.
Not again.
That's all right. Just keep going.
Yeah, no problem. No, I just wanted to say a big thank you to you, Kate and Grace. I could see in the comments there's just a lot of love for this session, so it was fantastic, and everyone's appreciating all your content and the resources. So thanks very much, and thanks to everyone for attending. I hope you're enjoying this day on the conference, and I hope you can enjoy it as it winds to a close. But thanks again for coming, and we'll see you shortly.